For our first scenario, distraction came in the form of a lightning strike, which entered the cabin of a Boeing 757 and terrified the cabin crew. Crew composition is significant here, as we have a pairing of a very inexperienced first officer and very experienced captain. They were on their fourth sector returning from Exeter to Gatwick. It was a very rushed takeoff straight into the eye of a heavy thunderstorm. A significant cockpit gradient existed, and you will see a host of CRM issues. But pay particular attention to the complete breakdown in monitoring which occurs after the lightning strike, resulting in the very undesirable situation where no one is in control of the aircraft.
Hello mate, how's it going?
Alright, a bit of a long day.
Yeah, there's a bit of weather around as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was kind of maybe more concerned than the captain was. I'm a bit new.
Oh, well, you knew,
Yeah.
How are you getting on with him? He's a bit grumpy, isn't he?
Oh, well, I'm glad you said that. It's been a bit of a hard day, actually.
Yeah, he was here a couple of weeks ago, and there was the first officer was complaining about him.
Oh,
then.
really? Oh,
yeah.
That makes me feel a bit better.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's
Come on,
he's
guys,
just
we need
grumpy.
to get
Oh,
going.
here he
We've
is.
got a really tight turnaround to make.
Okay.
Right.
Go out and do the walk round.
Yeah, I'm going a bit.
Okay, well, if you're with me then, I've done the load sheet, that's all done. If you're ready to plug up, I've got the performance all done.
Okay. External inspection was alright?
Cracking. Did you get too wet?
No, it's okay.
Okay, so 128,
Hang on. Okay, 128.
128, 130,
130.
135 on the salmon, 150, 190. It's climb to D858, I've already set,
Okay.
and a VRF of 112. Good to go. Okay, I think we're ready then. Okay, cracking. Well, there's the paperwork. Thank you very much indeed. Cracking. Right, ready? Let's get cruiser start. Let's get on the way.
Okay. Do you want what's the call sign?
Badger 426.
Okay. Badger 426 requesting start.
Okay, and let's have the before start checks, please.
Badger 426, you're cleared to start the QNH 1013, and temperature is 8 degrees centigrade.
1013, 8 degrees, Badger 426. Okay, I've
Do you
got
want the pre-flight? No.
before start, please.
Trim.
Yeah, do you want to do the scan and then run the checks?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Trim.
4 degrees, neutral.
FMC.
Is set.
Okay. Thrust.
Set.
Airspeed bugs.
Set.
Doors and windows.
Closed, locked.
Hydraulics.
Set.
Fuel.
Set.
5.9 tons. Do we not need 6?
It'll be fine.
Okay. Passenger signs.
On.
Packs.
Check them off. You need to put those off.
Off.
Yeah.
Anti-collision beacon.
On.
That's the before start checklist complete.
Okay. Hello, ground.
Badger 426, are you ready for departure? We have traffic at 10 miles.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, Badger 426, if I'm ready for departure. Do you want the
Okay, there's some weather around, but we'll be fine. Yeah, before takeoff checks, please. Just check quickly for takeoff.
There's a storm there, right?
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. If we don't get off now, that aeroplane
Badger
will be in
426,
front
you are
of us.
cleared immediate takeoff, runway 08, surface wind is 060 at 8 knots.
Ready immediate, Badger 426, clear to takeoff.
Okay, before takeoff checklist?
Yes, please.
Flaps.
5 required and set.
Takeoff briefing.
Reviewed.
Are you flying? Who's flying?
No, it's your sector, remember.
Cabin.
Secure.
Transponder
TARA.
and lights.
Are on.
Okay, that's the before takeoff checklist complete.
Okay, yeah, it's your sector. We
Right.
can't hang around, so I know we've got that weather, but we'll be fine.
Okay.
And we're ahead of that traffic in front of us, so you're clear for immediate takeoff on the roll.
Okay.
You have control.
Okay, I have control.
Thrust set. 80 knots.
Check.
V1, rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Heading select.
Heading select. It's okay, I've got control, I'm in control up here.
And Badger 426, contact approach 129875.
129875, Badger 426.
Speed. Speed. Speed.
Okay, I've got it, I have control. Thought you were flying this. This is your sector.
You said you had control.
Was talking to the cabin. Okay, we've got it under control now. Speed's increasing, attitude's good. You have control.
Okay, I have control.
Let me give you climb thrust, flight level change. Airplane's clean.
Yeah.
Climb into flight level 60.
1,000 feet to go.
1 to go.
Okay, autopilot on.
Center command. Need to set standard. Altimeter check.
Do we stay on this heading?
I don't know. Yes.
The event we were trying to replicate and possibly embellish to make the learning points very clear was a real MOR that was submitted to the CAA some years ago. It was a Boeing 757. It was the 4th sector of a very busy day. The aircraft was positioning from Exeter to Gatwick. The turnaround in Exeter had been only 22 minutes, which is really quick for a large narrow-body aeroplane. The aeroplane took off with some weather around, and at about 1,000 feet they had a lightning strike. The flight crew had left the flight deck door open, and the cabin crew were a little alarmed when the lightning struck because there was a blue plasma ball in the cabin. So they started to scream. The captain shouted something back to the crew which could have been misinterpreted by the first officer, and then the aeroplane, seemingly nobody is flying the aeroplane for a little bit of time, and it gets really slow from its normal operating speeds and precariously close to a stick shaker, which didn't occur, but it was very close. So that was a sort of build-up, and the incident, of course, was a near stall event on a commercial aeroplane, which is never good.
The role I was playing today was competent first officer, but very new to type, reasonably low hourred. My 4th sector, I've done the other couple of sectors before during the day, but they hadn't gone particularly well. The captain had kind of interfered kind of throughout the day and kind of put me down quite a lot, and I was feeling a little bit intimidated, and everything was all getting a bit rushed.
My role, I was playing the captain, and I was trying to play a captain that was what we might call old-fashioned, a little autocratic, didn't really understand the difficulties the first officer was having, not really respecting the fact that the guy was low-hourred, therefore would possibly need a little bit more time, sort of rushing, sort of pushing at every stage, and when the FO offered doubts and questions about what was happening, the captain was quite dismissive. There wasn't a lot of communication or mental model sharing from the captain to the first officer.
5.9 tons. Do we not need 6?
It'll be fine.
Okay.
The 4 key monitoring behaviours in line with the new CAA monitoring behaviours framework are situational awareness, leadership, teamwork and briefings, workload management and communication. Well, the situational awareness was there. There was some situation, they knew it had an empty flight, they knew there were thunderstorms in the area. I think Tim's alluded to the fact that although both of them were aware perhaps of what the risks were, they didn't share their mental model. So when the first officer asked, there's a thunderstorm, is everything okay? The captain was very dismissive and said everything's fine. So therefore his perception of the risks were immediately diminished down to almost nothing. He didn't go through any of the mental model sharing. He didn't say to him what the implications would be if there was a GPWS for wind shear, or what happened if a lightning strike, and any further actions. So really, although the first officer was reasonably competent operating as a normal flight, on this occasion there was no additional risk sharing and no mitigation for any of those risks.
One other area of situational awareness that we need to think about is what's the other crew member doing? And we were trying to simulate in this case that the captain was not aware of what had happened to his first officer. If we look at the nub of the incident, the autopilot was not engaged. The captain was probably about to engage the autopilot at the point that there was a distractor, which was the cabin crew screaming in the cabin. And therefore the autopilot didn't get engaged. There was then a breakdown of SOPs. The FO thought the captain had taken control. The captain thought the autopilot, or at least the first officer, was flying. And so now we've got this complete breakdown. The captain never quite realised the mental state of the first officer. And he was startled by this whole lightning strike that was not expected, nor had the first officer experienced before. And all that leads to a confusion of roles.
Okay, I've got it. I have control. Thought you were flying this. This is your sector.
You said you had control.
And so nobody is monitoring the FMAs in the aeroplane to see what the aeroplane is doing, causing a significant reduction in speed.
To sum up leadership, teamwork and briefing, the leadership from the captain was clearly autocratic. It led to a breakdown of communication and teamwork, such that nobody actually knew who was flying the aeroplane. The style of the captain directly impacted the safety of the flight. Also the style of the first officer impacted, because he was overruled by the captain. He didn't alert the captain to his own fears, and he became very reactive.
Badger 426, are you ready for departure? We have traffic at 10 miles.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, Badger 426, if I'm ready for departure.
One key area of workload management, one of our behaviours, is the ability to not be distracted from the task in hand. And what we were replicating today was an event happened, the captain turned and he shouted at the cabin crew, and at that point it looks like nobody was really conducting the number one task of flying the aeroplane.
Flaps. It's okay. I've got control. I'm in control up here.
So being distracted is a key factor in lots of monitoring incidents that we see, and really staying on the job, eye on the ball, is what we were trying to replicate here that they didn't.
The communication style throughout the day was clearly building up to this incident. The 3-4 sectors beforehand, the flight, the first officer was now starting to feel undermined by the captain. The communication was not effective. The first officer was not clearly articulating his concerns, and if he did, the captain wasn't actively listening. So therefore, even during the taxi out, the first officer did say, "Is this okay? There are thunderstorms," and it was instantly dismissed by the captain.
Please, just check quickly for takeoff.
There's a storm there, right?
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. If we don't get off now, that aeroplane
Badger
will be
426, you are cleared immediate takeoff, runway 08.
So the dismissive, overpowering, overbearing nature of the captain, maybe he had his own concerns and his own risks, but they weren't articulated either. There was no empathy with the first officer's experience. And all those things led to a breakdown of communication to the point where nobody's actually flying the aeroplane.
These are important messages. When you have been distracted, your first port of call must be the FMAs and your flight instruments in order to get back in the loop as soon as possible. If the captain had done this as soon as he turned around after speaking to the cabin crew, he would have seen that the autopilot wasn't engaged, and he would have noticed the increasing pitch angle and decreasing speed. Another key issue mentioned was the lack of appreciation of the first officer's mental state. We interpreted the loss of control as being miscommunication when the captain said to the cabin crew that he was in control. But another plausible explanation was that the first officer was mentally incapacitated by the lightning strike. When this happens, it's like a momentary power cut in the brain. The working memory is completely wiped out, and you have no idea what you are doing or where you are. You recover quite quickly, but in this situation, the first officer had no recollection that he was in control and reverted to pilot monitoring mode. But his capacity to process the information is limited as he struggles to rebuild his mental picture. These types of incapacitations are insidious because they are not easy to detect. Outwardly, the person can look in control, and the only way the captain could have established that there was a problem was through verbal communication. He should have expressed concern, knowing the first officer's lack of experience.